I remember stories from when I was younger. Tales of when the Empire grew vengeful and hunted the clans to the point of extinction. There were masters of deception, spies without equal, warriors of extraordinary ability. This is the legend of a brave few who fought to change the course of history and end the time of woe and terror. Our story begins at the Wooden Dojo.
Hi, and welcome back to the Wooden Dojo. This is the GM for the game, John, and today I am going to be doing another interview. The interview this week is with another portion of the creation team for Third Eye Games. So for this interview, I have asked Danielle DeLisle to join me in the capital of Daiwa. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my first interview, so I'm pretty excited. I've actually never been interviewed about any of the games that I have been a part of before, so I'm very excited, and thank you so much for asking me.
One of the things we always find in the game creation community is that usually they were gamers first. I was wondering if you could give us a little bit of background about what it is that got you into gaming.
Well, back when I was about, maybe 10 or 11, my grandmother used to go to these library book sales where you could get a whole bunch of books for like 25 cents a bag. And one time she came across a red box D&D set. I thought, the basic one that they were selling at the time. This was 10, it was maybe 1989, 1990, somewhere in there. And she brought it back, and I'm pretty sure she did not know that's what it was, that it was a role-playing game. I'm pretty sure she just thought, oh, Danielle's going to like this. She likes dragons, and it has dragons on the front. And so, but I read it, and I was super, I read the little thin books that they had at the time, and the little adventure that they had, and I really wanted to play. But I grew up in Vermont, and there weren't a lot of people around in my small little New England town to play that sort of thing with. So I read books. I read the books that I had, and I also would read those Choose Your Own Adventure books. And I had some of the TSR ones, and I had the regular ones with the red title. And I had Lone Wolf, the Lone Wolf series. And I just had so much fun with those. But I still, was looking for an opportunity to play some actual role-playing games. When I got into college, I ended up getting involved in World of Darkness LARP with some of my college friends because I actually had people to play with, and they were playing, and it was a lot of fun, and that's how I got started. And I was just, after that, I was able to just play more, and I've been playing ever since then. I actually met my husband because we were both gamers. We were talking, and we met, and we were doing the usual getting to know you sort of stuff, talking about music and movies and books we liked. And he asked if I liked H.P. Lovecraft. And I said, yeah. And he mentioned that he was involved in a game based on his stuff, on the author's stuff. And I went, you mean Call of Cthulhu? And he said, yeah. So I asked him, if I could play, and we played together. And the rest was kind of history after that. So my first status with gaming was just my first start. The status of my gaming was just basically reading stuff until I was able to get out and actually play with people. So my first exposure was thanks to my grandma. Thanks, Mame.
So, who are your RPG inspirations when it comes to creating and writing in this field?
This is a hard question. Mostly because everybody I work with has been so amazing. I'm so lucky that I have not had a bad experience since I started writing for role-playing games. Everybody, as you noted in your previous question, are gamers first. We love the games, and that's why we do what we do. And everybody puts everything they have into it. I mean, their money, their time, their creative juices, their everything. And so everybody I work with is such an inspiration and a motivation because they're all so different. Everybody brings their different attitudes and their different experiences and philosophies, and I just love it so much. So, I mean, pretty much everyone I work with is an inspiration to me. I mean, as well as people who are in the industry. I think it's so important as a creator to take inspiration from everybody that you can. There's always something worthwhile to learn from somebody else, I think. And I also take inspiration from my own gaming group, honestly, because they're the ones that I write for. I mean, when it comes down to it, that's it. We're gamers, and you sit there and you picture, how is my gaming group going to would deal with this? How are they going to feel about this sort of thing? And I want to write something that my gaming group would love. You know, that gamers would love. That's really what it comes down to, is they take it and they use it. And that's an inspiration to me. I take inspiration from that. Whenever I get stuck, I find that I can always get unstuck if I think, if I were a player, you know, which I am as well. As a player, what would I want to be able to work with? What could I do here that would be something a player can get excited about?
The Ninja Crusade, originally released as Wu Jing, The Ninja Crusade, in 2010, and was recently released again as The Ninja Crusade 2nd Edition, with the Emperor's Reign expanding the material even further. When did you become involved with the game?
I got involved at the Ninja Crusade 2nd Edition stage. It was actually my first job writing freelance for role-playing games. I got my start just by starting to follow people on Twitter who worked in the RPG industry in various capacities. So it's a good tip for anybody who wants to get started. It's a very basic tip, but just start following them on Twitter because they will often put out calls for writers and things like that, or retweet them. And that's how I got started. I was following someone who worked in RPG, and they tweeted about the open call for writers for Third Eye Games. And so I went for it. I sent in a writing sample, and I sent in my resume, and Eloy got back to me, and that was it. He took a chance on me, and I'm super grateful that he did. I'm just super grateful. Like, I can't even tell. It kind of started everything for me, and I'm super grateful that he did that. So I worked on Ninja Crusade 2nd Edition, and I also worked on Empire's Reign as well.
I always love asking this question of creators and things they help create. So, if you could be anything or anyone within the Ninja Crusade, where would you see yourself?
Oh, wow. You know, everything is so different. All the different characters you can play in Ninja Crusade. And I think they all, we really strive to make sure that no matter what kind of character you played, you were going to have fun. There was something interesting there that you could grab a hold of and just go with and just really get into it. That was something that we really tried to do, that was told to us as the writers and the whole group of us getting together. It was a very collaborative experience. So really all of them, you can't go wrong. I think there's always something in any one of them. But if I was forced to choose, I would definitely be a living chronicle. I love that clan. I love the idea of like carrying history and having it on your body, and that being this really, really kind of sacred thing. And I just love that. So I would definitely probably choose to be a living chronicle for sure.
Is there a particular part of your contribution to 2nd edition that is your favorite or stands out best in your memory?
Oh, that's a good question. These are all really, really, really good questions. I did a couple of the little stories at the beginning of the chapters. I did a couple of those, and I did a lot of the character creation stuff. Some of the, different things that you can pick in character creation. Those were all really, really fun experience. But I was only tangentially involved with the thing that I kind of really love kind of the most about the process of doing the Ninja Crusade, other than the atmosphere and its ninjas and all of that stuff. I really love, and if I remember correctly, we all came up with this together, was the idea of when you create a character, it's chapter 3 of the book, The Long Road. And it's that idea that creating your character kind of creates this story. And I think this was something we all kind of contributed to and we talked about as a group, and it just kind of developed as this idea. But I kind of love it because you start out in the ocean, and everything starts from the ocean, and so you kind of pick the element that your character is made from in the beginning, and then the village and growing up and what their occupation is. You go from the ocean to the village to the river and flowing past and moving on with your life, and then the forge where you learn your war skills, and then up the mountain and you're just like ascending. The mountain has your contacts and bonds and things that you've done throughout your life. And then you go up to the temple where you get your skills and training and abilities. And then up to the sky where you get your jitsu. And I just love that progression. It just feels... I just love that story and that progression if you read it through the chapter, because I feel like that just encapsulates everything that the game is about. That whole idea, and it just feels so rooted in the atmosphere of the game and the world of the game that I love it. And even though I wasn't specifically involved in that particular part, everybody kind of was. It remains my kind of favorite part. And though I do like the little fictions and everything that I wrote, because of course I do, it was just super fun. Just to come up with stuff, writing for role-playing games, I often say is you have to play in the sandbox without having to come up with the plot or the characters. You're kind of creating all the background, and you're creating all the world, and you're creating all the toys that people get to play with, and that's just super fun. So, that's my answer. I really love that whole idea of the character creation process being this story, and creating the story of your character is probably the thing that stands out the most to me.
One of the genres you write for is horror. You're even a member of the Horror Writers Association. If someone wanted to bring horror elements into the world of Ninja Crusade, what do you think they could focus on?
Oh man, you really did your research on me. I love horror. It's I love it, and I think it would be so easy and so awesome to bring horror into the Ninja Crusade. That would be so amazing. There's so many ways you could do it. There's so many ways. I would probably start by doing some research on Asian influenced horror stories, and look into folklore and stuff like that, and kind of go from there. There's so many elements of Ninja Crusade that you could throw out there. You know, there's plenty of land out there where they can run into creepy temples that are kind of, you know, haunted in some way, or you know, some village who's beleaguered by an oni. You know, like there's so many things that the ninjas could do, the ninja players could do, or I mean even Empire. I mean, if you wanted to get into Empire Reign and do something like that, I mean, just really I would delve into folklore, and I would take inspiration from there and start from there and do that. And I think that would be super cool and super atmospheric, and I think it would be awesome, and I would really love to see that. Oh, I should also mention, I mean, of course, there's like, you know, you can look at the demons, the demon section in the book, and the Oni. There are actually sections in there. Before I forget, I was going to, you know, like move on, and then I was like, no, there are actually these parts of the book, and you can actually look there and kind of get inspiration on how to do some of the horror stuff for the demons and Oni, and work with them and get some horror stuff in there. But you could also do some of the quiet horror and stuff like that as well, and not have to deal with demons and Oni if you didn't want to. But definitely look into the folklore, and there's definitely some instances, places in the book that you can look for to get some horror stuff in there.
I've seen your name pop up for writing in different capacities for the gaming hobby, such as a review you did for Call of Cthulhu 5th Edition. Recently, you've also had the opportunity to write for other RPGs. What other games have you been involved with?
Okay, well, yeah, I did the Ninja Crusade, and I've worked with 7C a lot. John Wick Presents in 7C, and I've done a setting for Gears of Defiance. And so I've worked on that. That review is like way old, though. I'm kind of surprised you found that. That's super cool, though. Yeah. Basically, that article was just about, it was for a kind of horror website that was doing articles and things, and it was kind of to introduce people to horror role playing and what they could maybe do if they wanted to get into that aspect of it. You know, I also did some video games and stuff like that for that site too. But I've worked on some of the other games, and there's lots more coming out that I can't exactly talk about yet. But definitely, I've been doing for some other companies, and I definitely hope to work with Third Eye Games again and do some more stuff with them. So yeah, I've done quite a few for some other companies, mainly 7C. So definitely check those out, because those are all awesome companies, and you can definitely look them up.
You recently stumbled on our Passion Nerdly Twitter feed and gave us an awesome shout out. I don't know if you've listened to our actual play, but if there's one thing you would love to see in our show, what would it be?
Yeah, I did. I kind of stumbled onto it, and I'd actually never heard somebody actually play a game I had worked on before, so that was very, very fun, because I was like, oh wow, I worked on this, and people are playing it, and seeing it like the way it was meant to be and what we were working for was very interesting. So it was very awesome. You guys did a great job. So the shout out was completely my pleasure. But since you had brought it up earlier, I would certainly love to see a little horror in y'all's game. That would be great. Get some of your ninja a little scared, get them a little creeped out, you know? That would be very cool. That would be very cool.
And of course, shameless plug time. If our listeners wanted to track down any of your other products, where could they go?
I do have a website. It would be awesome if people wanted to check it out. It's DanielleDeLisle.com. So just my first name, last name.com. I'm also on Twitter under my last name as well. And I can be also found on Facebook, but all my contact information is on my website. So if anybody was interested in anything that I do, definitely check out my website, DanielleDeLisle.com.
Thank you so much for your time doing this interview.
Thank you so much for asking me. This is actually, like I said, my first interview about stuff that I've done. So I'm super flattered, super honored. And you obviously did your homework on me with some of these questions. These are fabulous questions. And I'm definitely going to be listening to your actual play. And I wish y'all the best of luck. Thank you for asking me here today.